The universe usually tries to kill you with vacuum, radiation, or heat. But Barrios Prime is different. It kills you with math. It kills you with a constant, unforgiving pull of 4 times the standard Terran gravity. Imagine waking up and finding out you weigh 400 kilograms. Imagine your heart struggling just to push blood up to your brain. Imagine your own skeleton snapping under the sheer weight of your flesh. That is Barrios Prime. It is a world where physics has a heavy hand, and anything that grows there has to be made of iron-hard muscle and spite. The Federation calls it a Level 5 kinetic danger zone. We just call it the grinder. The planet's atmosphere is so thick it feels like walking through shallow water, a heavy soup of nitrogen and argon that traps the heat of its dying sun. Because of the gravity, nothing on Barrios Prime grows tall. The mountains are squat, jagged ridges of obsidian. The trees are low, twisted bushes of fiber-reinforced wood that can stop a bullet. And the predators? They are the most terrifying things in the feral frontier. They are called Gristle-Hounds. They are 6-legged, low-slung nightmares of pure, dense muscle. Their bones are as dense as structural steel, and their hide is thick enough to shrug off small arms' fire. They don't run. They move like armored trains, possessing so much momentum that once they start a charge, they can go through a reinforced bunker wall without slowing down. We were sent there to recover the Atlas core, a gravitational stabilizer that had crashed during a failed terraforming attempt. If the core wasn't recovered, the tectonic plates of the planet would destabilize, causing a series of gravimetric quakes that would ripple through the entire sector. But you don't send normal Marines to the grinder. You send the 10th Heavy Infantry, the Crusher Corps. I am Sergeant Miller, and I've spent more time inside an exoskeleton rig than I have out of one. On Barrios Prime, the rig isn't a weapon, it's a life support system. Without it, you'd be a puddle of jelly on the landing pad within minutes. The Crusher rig is a 3-meter-tall behemoth of hydraulics, reinforced lead steel plating and high-torque servo motors. It's built to fight the planet as much as the monsters. Every step we take requires 3,000 pounds of hydraulic pressure. Every breath we take is assisted by an artificial diaphragm. We don't walk, we stomp. Miller to squad. Pressure seals check. Sink your servos, I grunted, the words feeling heavy in my throat. The gravity even affects your speech, pulling your jaw down, making every syllable a chore. Beside me, my squad, Jackson, Cale, and Sarah, thudded into position. Their rigs were covered in the dust of the landing zone, the orange-purple light of the sun reflecting off their scarred visors. Status, green, Sarah responded, her voice distorted by the comm filter. But the hydraulics are already running hot. This world hates us, Sarge. The world can wait in line, I replied. Target is 2 clicks east. The crash site is at the base of the Obsidian Ridge. Move out. High torque, low gear. Don't let your momentum get away from you. Movement on Barrios Prime is a lesson in terror. Because of the 4G gravity, if you trip, you don't just fall, you impact the ground with the force of a car crash. We moved in a diamond formation, our heavy magnetic boots locking onto the rock with every step to keep us stable. The silence of the planet was heavy, broken only by the constant whir-clunk hiss of our suits. Then the haptic sensors in my feet picked up a vibration. It wasn't the slow, tectonic groan of the planet. It was a rhythmic, high-frequency thumping. Something was coming. Fast. Contact. 9 o'clock. Jackson yelled. From behind a squat obsidian ridge, the first wave of Gristle-Hounds emerged. They didn't growl, they made a sound like stones grinding together. They were built for this world, wide, powerful shoulders, thick necks, and eyes protected by bony ridges. They saw our massive, metallic shapes and saw a threat to their territory. Or maybe they just saw a massive pile of protein. Brace! I roared. The lead hound hit Jackson's rig like a meteor. The impact of the beast, weighing nearly 2 tons and moving at 50 kilometers an hour, sent Jackson's 400-ton rig sliding back across the rock, his stabilizers screaming as they fought for purchase. Jackson didn't fire a gun. On the grinder, traditional bullets are too light. The gravity pulls them into the ground before they can hit a target at distance. We use kinetics. Jackson swung a massive hydraulic-powered piston fist. The Crusher Punch is a pneumatic strike that delivers 20 tons of force in a millisecond. The fist caught the hound mid-leap, the sound of the impact like a thunderclap. The creature's skull didn't just break, it shattered. But the hound's body was so dense that it didn't even fly back. It just crumpled into a heap of muscle and broken bone. More of them. Everywhere. Sarah called out. The hounds were smart. They knew they couldn't knock us over individually, so they attacked our legs. They swarmed the rigs, their jaws, capable of shearing through tank plating, snapping at our hydraulic lines. I felt the rig lurch as a hound grabbed my left ankle servo. The suit's alarms wailed, torque limit exceeded. Hydraulic leak detected. Get off me. I growled, engaging the ground pound protocol. I sent a massive electrical and kinetic pulse through the suit's feet. The shockwave rippled through the ground, the 4G gravity amplifying the vibration. The hounds near my feet were stunned, their internal organs likely liquefied by the pressure wave. I raised my right arm, a heavy-duty rotary autocannon that fired slugs, solid tungsten bolts the size of a human forearm. I opened fire. In 4G you don't aim at the head, you aim at the chest and let the gravity do the work. The slugs hammered into the pack, each hit sounding like a sledgehammer hitting a wet bag of sand. The hounds were relentless. They were the apex of biological evolution under extreme pressure, and they didn't know how to retreat. They fought with a savage, heavy-gravity fury, their sheer physical power threatening to overwhelm our mechanical strength. We're being pinned down. Cale shouted. His rig was covered in hounds, 3 of them tearing at his shoulder plating. I can't clear them. Jackson, Sarah, shield wall. I ordered. We moved together, the rigs locking their magnetic shields to create a wall of steel and hydraulics. We became a fortress in the middle of a storm of muscle. We used our suit's sheer mass to crush the hounds beneath us, the sound of snapping bone and grinding metal filling the comlinks. We pushed through the swarm, a slow, grinding advance toward the ridge. Every meter was a battle against the hounds and the planet. By the time we reached the crash site, our rigs were battered, their orange paint stripped away to reveal the raw, dented steel beneath. The Atlas core was there, half buried in an obsidian crater, glowing with a faint, unstable blue light. Recover the core. I'll hold them off. I yelled, turning my autocannon back toward the horizon. The entire local pack, hundreds of them, was gathering at the top of the ridge. They were preparing for a final, mass charge. They were going to use the gravity to turn themselves into a landslide of meat and teeth. Sarah and Jackson used their rig's heavy-duty cranes to lift the core. We've got it, Sarge. But the core is vibrating, it's messing with our stabilizers. Go. Get to the extraction point. I roared. As they began the slow retreat, the hounds charged. It was a sight of pure, primeval power. A wall of gray-skinned muscle and bone rushing down the slope, accelerated by the 4G pull. I stood my ground, my rig's feet locked into the bedrock, my power plant redlining as I fed everything into the servos. I didn't use the gun. I used the piston ram, a massive forward-facing hydraulic shield. The first wave hit me. The impact was enough to crack my visor, the pressure of the planet suddenly screaming through the tiny fissure. I felt my teeth rattle. I felt the suit's frame groan, the titanium struts bending under the force. But I didn't fall. I punched back. With every ounce of human spite and mechanical torque, I fought the grinder. I was a human being, a creature of 1G, standing on a 4G hellscape and telling the planet, no. I was the crusher, and I wouldn't be ground down. We made it to the dropship as the first gravimetric quake hit. The ground split open, the massive weight of the crust shifting with a sound that could be heard in space. We hauled the Atlas core into the hold, the ship's engines screaming as they fought the planet's pull to reach orbit. As we broke into the weightlessness of space, the silence of the cabin was deafening. We unlatched our helmets, our faces pale and bruised from the G-force, our muscles feeling strangely light, as if we might float away. I looked at my hands. They were shaking from the adrenaline and the sudden absence of the grinder's weight. Sarah looked at the scarred, blood-stained rigs in the hold. Nature made them perfect for that world, she said softly. They were stronger, faster, and tougher than us in every way. I looked at the Atlas core, then back at the purple-gold marble of Barrios Prime. Maybe, I said, wiping blood from my brow. But nature forgot one thing. Nature builds with meat. Humans build with spite and hydraulics. And on a planet that wants to crush you, I'll take a piston over a muscle every single time. Humanity had proven the ultimate feral frontier truth. The universe can increase the pressure. It can make the gravity so heavy that your own heart wants to stop. It can build monsters out of steel-dense gristle and bone. But we are the species that looks at a planet that wants to crush us and builds a machine specifically to punch it in the face. We don't just survive the grinder. We crush it. This has been Apex Sci-Fi. The heavier the world, the harder we stomped. That if you enjoyed this heavy gravity battle, hit that like button, but don't snap your finger. Comment below. How much would you have to be paid to spend a week on a 4G planet? Subscribe for the next story in the Feral Frontier saga, the Parasite Moon. The weight is lifted. The grinder is silent.